Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Authority and Influence Summit, where top experts share their best tips and strategies to help you be an authority and an influencer in your niche. Our guest today is Takara Shelor, and Takara helps authors become bestsellers and individuals ignite their intuition and experience profound transformation so they can achieve their dreams. She's helped thousands of people discover the diamonds and the gold within, their unique gifts and talents, passion, purpose, and joy. She's the best-selling author of numerous books, including Unleash Your Future, endorsed by Jack Canfield. Takara is absolutely a gem. She's a diamond in the making herself, or she's already a diamond. So I know that you're going to learn so much about her. And what we're going to be discussing today is intuition, your built-in authority. So welcome, Takara. You're muted, dear. Unmute yourself so we can hear you.
I did. Sorry. Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And so, first of all, I'd love to know what got you started and why is helping people really develop their intuition, which is their built-in authority. How did this become your passion and how did you choose this topic?
Well, it sort of just evolved naturally, which is kind of funny. I went from being an engineer working in pharmaceuticals manufacturing, a deeply stressed individual as a manager. And I left that career and I went off and I developed a nonprofit for dolphins and whales. And I was so stressed before that what I wanted to accomplish was finding happiness and peace within for myself. And because I was able to do that so effectively and just lead this, much more calm, centered, flowing kind of lifestyle, I started helping other people do the same. And one of the things that I discovered over time is that every time something truly amazing happened, it was because I followed my intuition. And so I started looking for tools and developing tools and ways to help people enhance their own intuition. And then I discovered ways I could teach other people how to enhance theirs. And so it's just been a natural progression that, now it's something I do all the time.
I love that story. And making peace and happiness with your own life, regardless where you're at, so important. And also whenever you're at peace within yourself, you can do more with your business. You can change the world more. Now, intuition, a lot of people have all different types of ideas in their head about what intuition is. So what's your definition of intuition?
So for me, it's deep inner knowing, okay? But people have different types of intuition. The truth is, the last count was 11. There's 11 different forms of intuition. Most people only have one of the three primary methods of knowing things, right? So most people, like when I do surveys and I'm like, which one of these is you? Most people raise their hand when I describe being clairsentient, which means they feel and they know. So they can walk into a room and they're like, something doesn't quite feel right, and they want to back up. That's very normal. And that's the kind of intuition that's primary for me. But there are people who literally can hear things that the rest of us can't hear. They hear high-pitched tones, they hear music, they might actually hear words, but that's much more rare. And then there are also a lot of people who can look at you and see the energy field around you. And they can see sacred geometries around you, and they might see, your guides, angels, all kinds of stuff around you. That is also something that some people can see. I and many other people find that we only have visuals more when we're in a really meditative space, like we're doing a guided meditation. Suddenly we're seeing lots of things, and that happens then. But the kind of intuition that works really well for manifesting and that works really well for stepping out into authority and influence is that one about internal knowing. You just suddenly have this idea that you should do this thing, but there's no logic behind, you just know, and there's no logic behind it. In fact, when you try to logic it, you're like, this makes no sense. Why am I doing this? Yeah.
And so that's the most common. I know, like, things that just make no logic. years ago, eons of years ago, I was a Tupperware. I sold Tupperware. So I lived in Los Angeles County. I went to Riverside to do this Tupperware party, and I didn't know the area at all. So I hopped on the freeway to go home, and I had this strong desire that I had to have a donut. It's crazy, like totally illogical. It was like I had to have a donut. There was nothing that was going to stop me from getting a donut right at that point in time.
Right.
So I exited the freeway, and lo and behold, right there, as soon as I exited, there was a Winchell's Donut House. So I went and I got a donut, said, yeah, I'm happy. I have my donut. I hopped back on the freeway, and it's a dead stop. And the people that I had been following was involved in a 7-car accident. And so I know that it was my intuition telling me I had to have a donut, which was absolutely illogical. But I believe had I not got off the freeway, I would have been involved in that accident.
Absolutely. And there's so many stories like that, right? Mm-hmm. Following intuition, you and I met. Following intuition, you and I started a collaboration, right?
Yes.
Following intuition, I got to live on $1 million yacht in Fiji in the South Pacific. Like there's all these amazing things that can happen with intuition, but for this particular topic in this particular summit, what I want to dial in is what's possible when you're listening to that still small voice and how it can influence authority and influence,
Yeah. And give us incredible opportunities. So if somebody doesn't understand their intuition, what's the first steps they need to take to discover their intuition and how it can lead to the incredible opportunities they're looking for?
Right. So there are 5 things that I recommend people do in order to, learn to pay more attention to their intuition. And the first one is meditation. And that is my highest recommendation for getting in tune with intuition. And the reason I say meditation is because most of the time we're in what's called the alpha brainwave state. Our brain is going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Sorry, it's beta brainwave, okay, is the normal state when we're busy. And there's too much chatter. We're thinking 1,000,000 thoughts. We're distracted all over the place. And when your mind is distracted, it's incredibly difficult to listen to that still small voice within. So when you take the time regularly to do a meditation practice, your brain starts to slow down into alpha and later theta. As you're falling to sleep, this normally happens, right? You go from beta to alpha to theta, and then finally into delta where you're totally asleep. So when
I'm going to stop you just one second, Takara. I do want to tell the audience, if you have any questions at all for Takara while we're talking, please post them in the chat and I will ask Takara your questions. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we naturally go down, and what that means is as the brain waves are changing, everything is slowing down. And the slower it can go, the more focus you have. The slower it can go, the more creativity happens. And so to really be in tune with that still small voice within, that little inner knowing, that little inner nudge, which happens incredibly subtly, okay? It's a very subtle hint or prompt. You can't have all this clutter and chatter. So when a person meditates often, not only are they slowing the brain wave and getting rid of the clutter and chatter while they're meditating, but it starts happening in the rest of their day as well. And so they're just in a better brainwave, a better mindset.
Right. I'd like to ask too, how many of you have a regular meditation practice? Just type yes in the chat box if you have a regular meditation practice. And if you don't, what do you think is stopping you from meditating? So go ahead. Yes, yes, yes. Other people meditate. Yay.
Yay. Exactly.
So the second one. So the first part's meditation. So what's your second one?
Meditation. The second one is spending some time alone in silence in nature, and just really noticing the squirrel, noticing the sun, noticing the trees and the grass and the flowers and whatever's there. But whenever we go into nature, they've done studies, and listening to nature sounds, even hearing birds singing, or water tumbling over rocks in a stream. These activities change us physiologically. They change our brain chemistry. They help us to become more calm and at peace. And whenever you're calm and at peace, then that helps your brain to slow down so you can pay attention to intuition more.
Okay, and we did have a question here. Is how regular do you recommend? A few times a day or what? And I would probably say how long as well.
Right. So, you know, there's different trains of thought, right? I've been meditating now for close to 3 decades, every single day for 3 decades. A lot of people will say you need 20 minutes twice a day. I've been doing it for one 20-minute session once a day for years, and that is plenty. There's even, you know, shorter meditations that are guided meditations using particular music that helps your brain goes into a slower brainwave really fast. I've got one that's only 8 minutes, right? So you can do it very quickly and go in and slow down your brain. And so for people that are really busy, but I really recommend daily, actually.
Okay. And somebody else said that say their exercise is their meditation.
Okay. So we go into a Zen space when we exercise. The endorphins happen, like if we're running or we're cycling or we're doing any of these things, you know, and those are really great. The thing is, it's not slowing the brainwave enough. I mean, it can work. It will definitely get you into alpha, but it probably doesn't get you into theta. It's still great. It really does matter. It's really fabulous, you know, and it's when we're in those alpha states, like in the shower, we get great ideas. You know, we're suddenly have a great, brilliant idea for business or something.
Okay. Thank you. And so we have meditation, being in nature.
Right. So, you know, is it Elke? Is that how you say that? I'm not sure how to say that person's name. Yeah. So Elke mentioned exercise. So that's the third piece. Okay. But there's 3 specific kinds of exercise that really make a difference in helping us be more intuitive. And those all not only are moving the physical body, but they're more of a mind, body, spirit, or, you know, heart and mind kind of exercises where it aligns things and it opens up the energy channels in the body. So one of those things is called the 5 Tibetan Rites. Not that many people know about that one. It's not that common, but it does do that. Okay. Yoga Sun Salutations, which is a particular yoga series of exercises that are all done in succession as one giant move. Okay. You do this and you do this and you do this and you do this, and then you're done. And then you repeat it again. There are tons of YouTube videos showing you how, but it's Yoga Sun Salutations. We'll also do that. They open the body, you know, the channels within the body, the energy centers, and they also get your body and your mind in sync. And the third one is doing Tai Chi and Qigong. And those also are moving energy and doing that sort of thing. So there's something about having that alignment that makes it a lot easier to pick up those subtle signals.
Okay. And so meditation, being in nature, exercise, and the 4th one.
The 4th one, not that many people have heard of, but it's called Dousing with a Pendulum. And there's different ways to do dowsing. It's not only done with a pendulum, but it is simply a weight at the bottom of a string. And it's an intuitive device. It's a way to enhance your intuition, in my opinion, one of the fastest ways. And it was used by Einstein, and it was also used by Leonardo da Vinci. So it's like, hey, if it's good enough for those guys, it's good enough for me. Like when I found that out, I was like, yes, I definitely want to learn how to do those.
It's very interesting. It was used by Einstein.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
I can see a Leonardo da Vinci because we just think of him as such a creative soul. But right. Einstein, we think of him as his brain power. I mean, he was creative, but we think of him as being so dang smart. So dowsing is very interesting.
Yeah. So with dowsing, you know, you can ask questions and you get a response, you know, so it's a way to teach yourself to tune in. And it's also a way to learn to ask good questions of the universe and to start that 2-way communication. So it's a powerful tool.
I love that. And number 5.
Number 5 is working with crystals or other energy tools, like I make some of those, like I have these little energy tools that I create, right? They're just energy infused oils, but you can use crystals, you can use color, you can use sound, any of the like there's sound healing, there's color benefits, you know, so you work with these frequencies, they really assist the person in, it sort of raises your vibration.
I'm looking around. I haven't found my crystals yet. They're packed
Oh
somewhere.
Oh no, Cindy moved recently and she told me she'd been looking for crystals and hadn't found them yet. I'm surrounded. I am surrounded. Like whenever this is one of my favorites, and these are really easy to pick up. I don't know if you can tell, see how they have like striations in them. They look like fiber optics. This is selenite. You can get it in almost anywhere, like a New Age bookstore, at a lapidary shop, at a crystal store. But it's because it looks like fiber optics, it kind of acts like fiber optics. And when I hold it, it's just a way to help me tune in and be more aligned. So I have that surrounded me on my desk.
I know. we have a couple questions. Lainey wants to know, do you equate intuition with having the Holy Spirit?
Let me think about this. Okay, because I'm very, very, very familiar with feeling the Holy Spirit. Like I've had that anointing and quite a mystical experience with that. So I'm very familiar with what that's like. Gosh. Okay, so let's segue for a sec and let's just talk about this. The Holy Spirit, Shekinah, my Jewish friends can say that way better than I can, okay? It is the presence of God or the presence of the divine, right? And when that's truly present, you're not just feeling it inside your body, it is in the room. It is it is like engulfed, okay? That is quite a presence. This, when you're tuning into intuition, what a lot of us call higher wisdom, you know, we are our own little spark of divinity. You know, all of us are, it depends on what your beliefs are, okay? Like we're skirting on this territory that not everybody may agree with, but, you know, we're all children of God, let's say, right? In whatever fashion you want to say that. Now, atheists will disagree with me, but there's a lot of us that believe that there is a divine being or energy, if you will. You could look at it like the force, however you see it, but there, you know, this divine presence, and that we are an aspect of that, and that inside of us is an aspect of that, right? The threefold flame in our heart and our connection to spirituality and our own higher wisdom. So intuition is our connection to our own little bit of that spark, right? And it is directly connected to the bigger divine. So it in a way it is. I hope that answers that somewhat. I mean, it's
and what I've always been taught, or the way that I learned, was intuition was the Holy Spirit whispering in my ear.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it is. It's a communication.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, so that's a great way. Thank you for that prompt. So something that is often said, that I often say too, is that prayer is us communicating with the divine, and in our intuition is our response. And so the more you work on being able to hear it or see it or sense it, the more it's a two-way communication, rather than sitting down and having a laundry list of this is what I want, this is what I want, thank you for this, and whatever prayer looks like for you, right? It becomes a two-way conversation.
And then Elke said, would be looking or staring at a candle be similar to the pendulum?
It's not the same, but it is a very, very powerful way to meditate, okay? It's a powerful way to meditate, and especially, I have chills. It is especially powerful to meditate for people who are fire signs in astrology, okay? Because they're naturally inclined to navigate toward, you know, watching fireplaces or bonfire or candles. It's really fabulous. And for people that really works for, they have a phone app where you can see a flickering flame on your phone and be meditating wherever you want to. Yeah.
Very cool. And Denise, just because it was funny, thank you, Denise. She said my crystals are working from wherever they are in the boxes.
Isn't that that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Something I want to jump in and say something is, you know, we're talking about ways to enhance it. We're talking about all this, but what I want to really talk about for just a second is that how does this help you with authority and influence? And part of that way is I will be in the middle of writing my next book or making a program or doing whatever. I'll be busy, really busy, very focused on something. And suddenly I will have this inner nudge to go to Facebook or to go to LinkedIn or go to Twitter or go to somewhere. And I'm like, really? And so I just go and I'll be scrolling through my feed and I'll be like, what am I doing here? I've got stuff to do, but it was just this, I am supposed to be here. Okay, fine. And then in the very next frame, I'll see someone has just posted an opportunity to speak, an opportunity to write an article for a very affluent magazine, an opportunity to connect with somebody that's, that you're not normally in the sphere of, right? And I tend to, because I'm in tune and I get those nudges and I follow them, the person will have only posted like a minute or two before. And so often I'm the very first person to respond. Well, the first people that respond to calls out like that are the ones that tend to get whatever they're offering, right? So it's a great way to be, have opportunities show up like that you weren't necessarily anticipating. But the thing is, you got to know what you're looking for. You have to let the universe know your goals, and then intuition, yeah.
I absolutely. That actually happened to me just the other day, where I was inspired to go to Facebook, and there's a great opportunity that I would have missed had I not went right at that moment.
Exactly.
To one of the groups I belong to. So it's really interesting how that happens. And I think a lot of times, even if you get into the deeper intuition and being into authority, we're thinking, it's just our head. It's just, is this really, my intuition, is this really divine, or is this just a stupid idea that I have? Right. So how do you tell the difference?
Well, the more you practice it, the more you do some of those exercises, those 5 things I recommended, the more you start doing some of those things. And the more you get an idea, whatever that is, whatever the little idea is, that's not normal. It's usually not normal. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you just find the courage to follow the whim and it works out, you start to trust the little whims. It's kind of like baby steps. You take a step and then you're like, oh, this actually does work, But for me, it's an actual feeling inside my body. But it's not something I noticed at first. It was more of something that developed over time, because, what I've noticed is that when I don't follow that knowing, that feeling, not great things happen. And when I do follow that nudge, fabulous things happen. Right. And so, but when you first start having intuitive thoughts, especially if they're negative, like, ooh, that person's weird. I mean, if you don't know it's intuition letting you know that, then I have in the past, years ago, I met a woman and I didn't like her immediately. And so I overrode that feeling, telling myself I was being judgmental and that's not how nice people behave. And I ended up going down a road where we became business partners and stuff. That was a disaster. Mm-hmm. Okay. So my intuition was right in the beginning. So it's kind of like follow your gut. But, there's very famous people, even now, very successful people that tell you they follow their gut more than logic. The guy that runs Virgin, all those companies.
Russell Brunson.
Yeah. Oprah.
Right.
Everybody else. Steve Jobs used to. They follow their gut, and they've done these studies, and they looked at CEOs and very influential people, and they were like, do you or don't you follow your gut instincts more than logic or with your logic? Mm-hmm. And what they discovered in this research is that 62% of CEOs and super successful people follow their intuition and their gut instincts, whereas only 50% of the regular population does. So, it's not all of them, but it's more of successful people do than don't.
It's just finding your way, I think. And I think I've shared this with you too, that one of the ways that I use, and I still use it a lot today, is simply, I know what it feels like. If I say, I am Takara, my body just feels so yucky inside. If I say, my name is Cindy, it's my truth, so I feel good. So a lot of times if I'm making a decision, like, should I trust Takara? Or I trust Takara, I do not trust Takara. I can tell what's my truth in my body just from the way my body feels.
Right, exactly.
And
this means practicing. You just have to practice that. And you can, you can hold things like, because I do teach dowsing, and when I teach it, we play with some of this stuff. And it's like, hold a bunch of sugar, hold a container of sugar in your hand and say, this is good for me. Well, that feels very different than if you hold up, some sort of really healthy vegetable or something. That's going to feel different.
Something else too, I mean, just saying that, I know Amy and I was at a retreat, and Amy had a really bad migraine. So everybody was like, well, take this, do this, whatever. And so she sat there with all these different medications, and she held them to her heart and said, this is good for me. Right. And the one that did is what she took, and her migraine was almost all gone by the next day. But then there was something else that felt good. So just because it feels good today and it's good for you today doesn't mean it's necessarily still good for you tomorrow.
Exactly. Somebody asked the question, what is a pendulum? I don't know if you can see this. Okay.
Yeah.
A pendulum, back in the day, dowsing was the old guys with forked sticks walking around fields looking for water. Okay, that's for real. They're still using it now. I don't know if you know this. They still douse oil fields, all that stuff. They still use dowsing, and the US military uses dowsing sometimes and things. Anyway, but it's really just, I'm trying to show it in a way that you can see it without my shirt being in the way. There we go. It's just the weight at the bottom of a string. Okay. Sometimes when I teach classes, I just have people use yarn and paper clips. You just tie something, it's like something at the bottom of a string, and then you learn how to ask different kinds of questions. You can ask yes, no, or true, false. You can also learn to chart douse, which it makes it warp into much more opportunity to find real great answers. But that's all the dowsing is. But it's also the forked sticks looking for water. You can still actually really do that. It's pretty funny.
So, and I think we've been talking about how to activate and advance and fine tune our intuition, right? So what is the number one thing that has to be in place for intuition to be the superpower? The superpower.
The
superpower.
That's right. So I sort of alluded to it earlier, and that is, you have to know exactly what you want, right? So for me, manifesting and achieving my goals and intuition go hand in hand like this. Okay. When I'm very clear that I want something, when I have sat down and really figured out my goals, do I want to be an influence in a certain area? Do I want my business to expand? Do I want to become, the influence and the authority in a certain niche? Like, if that has to be a goal, it has to be something for sure. And you have to feel it inside yourself that that's the truth. Like Cindy was saying, it has to feel true inside your body. And when you're clear about that and you let the universe know, whatever way you want to, you can speak those words, you can read them, you can make vision boards and put pictures up, you can pray about it, whatever you want to do. But when you're clear and you've let not only the universe, God, the divine, spirit, whatever you want to say, as well as your own subconscious mind, your own inner self, know for sure, then these intuitive promptings happen that move you along toward that, like, and they also happen in other ways. Like Cindy said, it prevented her from being in an unsafe situation. Okay. So that also happens as well, because we all have safety and security and wanting enough money. And, the universe knows that. The universe knows we don't want to be sick and we want to be healthy and we want to not be in car wrecks. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, sometimes we get these nudges, but there's also these amazing opportunities that show up. And sometimes the intuitive nudge that you receive, I think I said this before, doesn't look anything like, if you take this action, it's going to lead to the result you want. Like, I took an action because I felt this intuitive prompting to look up a certain person. and I hadn't seen this guy or heard of this guy in 15 years. And I suddenly was thinking of him. And I'm like, when that happens, I stop everything. I've learned the magic of this, right? So I stop everything when I think about someone I haven't thought of in ages, and I go look them up. So I Google whatever. Well, I ended up looking up this guy. I found him on Facebook. And then I started, looking through his friends list, because he lived on the San Juan Islands and I used to live there. And I thought, oh, I bet he has friends that I might know also. And I found this guy that I also hadn't thought of in 15 years. And I asked to be his friend, and we started emailing. And the next thing you know, he invites me to live on his $1 million yacht in Fiji in the South Pacific. Okay. And I took my son and we lived there. We went there. But if I hadn't thought of that first guy and taken that action and found him, that other opportunity would never have happened. So you just take the actions, you just follow these intuitive nudges, and you don't know what it's going to lead to. You don't know which one of your dreams, if any of them, it's going to be related to, because like we said, it's not logical. Taking this action doesn't seem like a logical step to get anywhere, but you do it anyway,
Exactly. And somebody's asked a question. I had something else I want, and if I remember, I'll follow up. But Anna said, because I know you, she said, I can imagine that what you are delivering to us as in an audiobook. Do you have one? I see it more than one. I know what you have, so share.
Part of what I have. Okay, so I've written 4 books. I have 4 books. None of them are in an audiobook, by the way, and they need to be. I know that. I just finished recording a 3-hour course with video about intuition specifically. Okay, and it's still being edited, so it's not even available yet. I have a meditation program. I have a Dousing program. So there's a lot of these programs of things that I'm talking about. And I also, my latest book is about manifesting. So it's all about how to get those clarity around your dreams. And we also get into intuition in there about the important and vital role that it plays in manifesting, in achieving your goals and dreams. And if you're on this event and if you're paying attention to wanting to be an authority and an influencer in your niche, then that clearly says you have specific goals about improving your business, and you want to make a bigger impact in the world, and you want to help more people. And there's, a whole laundry list of things you need to get clear about what those are. So.
Exactly. And that goes along with what I always teach everybody. And is I personally believe everybody should have something that describes who they are, such as Muhammad Ali's I am the greatest. So therefore, I'm Cindy J, the visibility whiz. It tells you right away what I help people do. And then whenever you're clear on that, your intuition's going to give you the messages you need and the little pushes you need to make whatever you're focusing on true. So naturally, whenever I first started, I didn't have, even though I'd been a divorce coach, going into business coaching was I was a new person, even though I had a lot of experience and a lot of success. So once you decide what you want to be or what you want, Prescott, some of you that's known me has known living in Prescott, Arizona has been a dream of mine for years. And there were times that I was so oh, I'm never going to get there. And I would cry my eyes out. But a couple years ago, I put 3 pictures in my office of Prescott. And one of them was of this mountain. And so I just had them there. They weren't really a vision board. They were just pictures because that's what I wanted. And then every time my husband and I would make plans to move, they would backfire. And then out of the blue, in June, we sold our house when it wasn't even for sale, and which gave us 30 days to move. So we had 30 days to find a place to move to. And so we are finally in Prescott. But the house that we rented has a view of the mountain that I was looking at for the past 3 years. And all of these, if you look at it in a logical sense, all of these don't make sense. But it was all because I was so knew that my focus was living in Prescott, right? So do you want to add to that, or?
I do. And something else came to mind that I want to make sure we say before we close today. I want to say thank you to Anna. I read what you said, and that's beautiful. So one of the things I want to say is, we've been talking about getting these little internal nudges, and I want people to realize that, or to be made aware that they can come in a lot of different fashions, right? For me, I just know, like, I just have this feeling. I'm like, I need to do this. And the three things that I tend to know is I know what I need to say, to whom, right? Where I need to be and where I need to go. And not like 24/7, but like in these key moments, I'm given that information. But these nudges, these little hints, you can be watching a movie and you can have this something in the movie suddenly gives you this inspiration. The same is true of a book, or even just a book title. Okay, you can read something on social media. It doesn't have to come in the form of just you suddenly with nothing around.
Right.
It can come in, there's signs. The universe sends us signs all the time in multiple ways. It can be something a friend says to you. It could be something someone, you're PMing with on social media. It can come any which way. And all you have to do is be open to it and be looking for it, be on the hunt. Like, Cindy helped me come up with that I'm the spiritual treasure hunter, right? So you're always hunting for those diamonds and gold that show up in your life, those little the opportunities and learning more about who you are and your talents and gifts. And so it's like, always be on the lookout.
I think those three things, say those three things again, because it's so important to be an authority and an influence. You need to answer those three questions. So you want to say those three things again?
The three things that I said come to me, those three. Okay. Mm-hmm. So knowing what to say and to whom, knowing where to be, where to go, and what to do. Okay.
And so if you know where you want to go, then you're going to have those other things, and even knowing what to say.
Right. So Cindy and I are in a collaboration, and we'd already had a conversation, but I mean, we ended up in another conversation, and I was guided to offer this opportunity to her. It was out of nowhere. I didn't even know her, right? I was like, this woman is going to think I am crazy, but I said what I was supposed to say. And she's like, she says and does what she does. You're like, does this feel good or does this not feel good? And so it was like, yes, we both were following intuition.
Right. And with that, and I'm going to tell the story just so you know. As I said earlier, I'm the premier coach for JVIC, JV Insider Circle. We have collaborate a few times a year. And so I will coach the attendees. And there's several coaches. So Takara was signed to me, and we had already spoken once, but she was like, I don't know what I need. I think I'm here to coach you. And I thought, okay. So I started talking about my story and the book that I'm writing. I have mentioned a few times I'm writing a memoir. And whenever I told her about my life and why I wanted to share this story, she said, I have to help you write it. So that was what she said. So we're collaborating together. She's really helped me fine tune and clarify how I'm writing my book. But a lot of it is using, again, the intuition and trusting your journey, trusting that the right people are going to come at the right time. And if you're meant to serve somebody, she obviously was meant to serve me. And she said what she needed to say to give me the opportunity to accept or reject. So even in your business, you need to always, if you feel you're supposed to be working with somebody for whatever reason, offer it. I mean, it was sort of cute. She showed up for that coaching session without thinking of anything at all she wanted coaching on. But as soon as she seen me, she was like, I'm supposed to coach you, which was really interesting. But it was her following her intuition.
It was weird on my end. Let's say that. It was like, I was like, oh my goodness. So someone wanted
the number 3. So the 3 things again. Mm-hmm.
The 3 things are knowing where to be, what to do, and what to say in any given moment. Okay. Hopefully that answers that one. Yeah.
Yes. All righty. And Takara does have a wonderful gift that she's offering everybody. It's the 7 Secrets to Discover Your Inner Treasure. So Amy will be putting that into the chat. So you definitely want to grab the 7 Secrets to Discover Your Inner Treasure. And when you upgrade to VIP for the $97, she's offering her Step into Your True Magnificence Success Bundle. So again, another great reason. Do you want to tell them about the 2 gifts, the 7 Secrets to Discover Your Inner Treasure and the Step into Your True Magnificent Success Bundle?
So as Cindy and I were talking about, you have to get clear about yourself, who you are, what you want, what you're here to do. And in the 7 Secrets to Discovering Your Inner Treasure, I walk you through the steps in order to do that. So that's what the first one is for. In the VIP upgrade version, you get that one along with a couple of other of my ebooks, including some of you may or may not know that I'm way into dolphins. Okay, like they came to me in meditation, I started seeing them. And so there's a whole ebook about working with dolphin healing energy. That's how I know Rich from JBIC, because he paddleboards with dolphins and whales every day. So that's actually how he and I know each other. So there's that one, but there's also this one about life works when you're happy, it sucks when you're not. And it's a whole ebook about finding more happiness in your life. And then there is a really powerful interview that I did with someone that goes into the things holding you back. It goes into these same 5 things that we discussed about ways to enhance intuition. I talk about them in a different way. Like these are just the 5 things I think everybody needs to do for all sorts of reasons in their life. So that's what that bundle is.
Thank you. And I don't know, I know there's a name of it. For her raffle gift, she's giving an online meditation program.
Yes, yes.
Is there a name for it?
It's the Magnificent You meditation program. Okay, Magnificent You is my company. And so this is a program that normally sells for $97, but for whoever wins the raffle, they'll get that program for free.
Okay, yes. The Magnificent You meditation program. Oh, okay.
Right.
So here's our Miss Amy, and she will do her wheel of names.
Nice
to meet you, Takara. I've heard so much.
Too.
I'm sure you've heard a lot too.
I have. All good. It's all good.
All right, let's see who gets to win.
Lourdes, are you there? Lourdes. Lourdes, need to let us know you're here.
Yay!
Yay! Congratulations. So you'll want to send your full name and email to Amy and the hosts, or just say the hosts and panelists. And Amy and I will be sure that Takara gets your information so Takara can let you know how to get your free gift.
Exactly.
And Takara, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Trust your instincts. Just trust that the universe has your back. Not everyone is, sometimes if life is hard and we've been through some stuff, then we sometimes lose our trust that the universe really has our best interest in mind. And so this is an invitation to realize that the universe does care, the universe loves you, and that this communication can be 2 ways, and your life can just flow and be fabulous, and you can go out there and have more authority and influence and make a big difference. So
thank you. And Bu Yi says, thank you. Totally vibed with Takara and her dolphin energy. And Denise says, thank you. Yes, so thank you very much. Anna says, thank you. So we are going to, let me stop the recording.